All right, so today my video is looking a little different because I have to show you some things on paper, and so I have to have this set up a little bit differently. Some of it's going to be a little awkward. So we've been doing all this work in the similarity unit, right? And we did all this stuff, we did all this stuff, we did all this. So we're here. This is the last thing we did, triangle proportionality theorem. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead. We're going to skip this one, we're going to skip this one. I don't think you guys can see this thing that says similarity test, but we're skipping that as well. What we're going to say is that we're done with the similarity unit. So any of you guys who have done those last two assignments, I will count them as extra credit for you. So we're going to be done with this similarity unit. We're going to start this right triangle unit, okay? So right triangle unit, okay? So the first thing in it is Pythagorean Theorem. So most of you guys are pretty good at Pythagorean Theorem. You can just jump right into it and do it. But if you want, here's a little reminder of how to do it. You can watch all these videos, but you know what? You're already watching a video, so why not just jump down to here and say, and we're going to do Pythagorean Theorem, okay? So here's our first question. Remembering to make sure you're logged in up there, right? So here's our first question. So we got this triangle, and it has 5 feet. Remember, this is the hypotenuse. These are the legs. It asks, what is the perimeter, okay? So remember, perimeter is the distance around the outside. So we're going to just copy this. I'm going to go over here to my paper. There we go. And we're going to put a right triangle. So one important thing remember about Pythagorean theorem, it only works if you have a right triangle. So you have to have a right angle. Remember, the side across from that right angle is always the hypotenuse. And in the equation, that side is always C. All right, so now for our picture, this is 5, this is 3, and they just call this B. All right, and they want the perimeter. So perimeter means we have to add up all the sides. So if these sides are A, B, and C, so this one's A. Remember, it doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B. All right, the perimeter is going to be add them all up, A plus B plus C. All right, so first we got to find out what B is. So remember, Pythagorean theorem starts with A squared plus B squared equals C squared. My A is 3, so 3 squared. Now watch for this, because the B, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to leave it B squared. And then the C is 5. So the C is the only one that it's important. We know it's the one across from the right angle. All right, so now I do 3 squared means 3 times 3, so that's 9. And I have plus B squared. 5 squared means 5 times 5, so that's 25. Now, you have an equation to solve here. So we have to go minus 9, minus 9. So then the 9's cancel out, and then we're going to have B squared equals 16. So do you remember the last step? You guys have done this a lot. The last step is we have to take square root on both sides. So we're going to say B equals. Now you might just know the square root of 16, but sometimes you're not going to know. So you need your calculator, and you might want to use your phone for a calculator if you don't have a calculator handy. And we just find a square root button, like on this calculator, it's right here. Just find a button that looks like that. So on my calculator, I have to go second square root 16. If you can't find it on your calculator, send me a picture of your calculator. I'll tell you where it is. All right, so I get 4. So we're going to say B equals 4. And now, but remember, that's only part of the problem. So when I do A plus B plus C, all right, my A is 3, so I'm going to have 3. My B is 4, so I have plus 4. And my C is 5. So then I just add 3 plus 4 plus 5, and that's 12, right? So then I come back. So that was a lot of work that I'm going to have to do as scratch work. You're going to want to have a paper handy so that you can come back to your answer here and put 12. Yay, all right. And remember that you're trying to get this score up to be 80. All right. Let's look at let's go ahead and just look at one more. At least. So this one's 10 and 6. This time it just asks what is the length of the missing leg. So the missing leg is A here. Okay, so we'll draw that picture. So now we have a little bit tall, skinny one. It doesn't matter if you have them proportional, but it does matter that the one across from the right angle is C. So we have C equals 10. We have 6 down here, and they just told us this one's A. So we're going to do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Our A, we don't know what it is, so we just leave it A squared. B is 6, so 6 squared. C is 10, so 10 squared. 6 times 6 is 36. 10 times 10 is 100. subtract from both sides. I get a squared equals 64. Square root of 64. Maybe you know the square root of 64. I know the square root of 64. Do you know the square root of 64? It's 8. But if you don't know that, use your calculator. All right, so I don't have to add anything this time. I don't have to do this part because the question does not say perimeter. It says leg. All right, so I'm just going to say that that equals 8. Now, I'm hoping the next one's going to have us do one that's a little different. Not really what I was looking for. But let me just show you an example in case it comes up this way. So another way that they could set up the problem is that if you have the two legs like this, like let's say you had 3 here and 4 here, and they said, what's this side? All right, so that side is C because it's across from the right angle. So then when you do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, your a, so it doesn't matter which one we call a and b. We can call this one a and this one b, or we could switch it. It's going to come out the same. But the c is different. All right, so I'm going to have 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. C squared we don't know. So now this time the variable's not on this side. I just have 9 plus 16. This is what's different about this one. I'm sure they'll have a question like this. So you just add these two and get 25. 25 equals c squared. Now I do the same thing as always. Square root, square root. The square root of 25 is 5. So c equals 5. All right, so there's some different examples of different problems, and you should try these and do the best you can. So remember, we're skipping ahead to that right triangle unit.